Okay, welcome everyone. We're so happy to have everyone here tonight. For those of you who are with us last time, thanks for coming back. For those of you who are here for the very first time, we welcome you. I'm Jen Gilland. I'm the Troop Support Specialist from the Southwest. I'm based out of North Platte.
Hi, I'm Joanne Savicki. I am a troop support specialist in the greater Omaha area, in the southern part of the city, and then Cass County.
Yes. And tonight we are happy to say that we are giving away to one person a special prize. That one person tonight is going to win 5 free program on demands. But to win, you have to stay on the whole entire time and be the first one to answer correctly one quiz question at the end of what we're talking about tonight. For everyone else, we do have a special incentive, but those of you have to stay on till the end too. At the end of the call, we'll announce what that special incentive is. So without further ado, tonight we are going to be discussing safety checkpoints. We don't expect you to know by heart all 217 pages of the PDF that are on our website. Joanne later is going to show you exactly where those things are on our website. But basically, those are standard safety guidelines set by GSUSA. They are basically your adult girl to adult ratios. They're the acceptable and safe activities based on age, categories. Basically, for what we want you to do, I know we say they're guidelines, sometimes we call them rules, but what we really want you to do as troop support specialists, as for you as volunteers, we want you to know that we want you just to have reasonable, common sense judgment to ensure the safety of the girls and that they have a fun experience for every activity that you do, for every like camp out that you do, every trip event you do, or even just a regular meeting. So Joe is going to show us what and where to find them on our website.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so on our council website, when you are on our council website, it's going to come up with this page here, and you'll notice they kind of moved some things around here at the top, but volunteer resources is up in the upper right hand corner. So you'll click to volunteer resources, and then you'll go down to support materials on the lower left side. Now, if you're using this from a phone, it's the 3 lines, and that will take you to the next kind of screen. So it looks different on your phone, but when you're on a laptop or a desktop, it will look a little bit like this. And so go to support materials, and then you're going to click on safety activity checkpoints right here in the middle. And so it will talk about some key points like volunteer to girl ratios, which we're going to talk a little bit later. But ultimately, when you click on this book here, it's going to pull up a 217-page document. And so it has a wonderful table of contents. The great thing about the table of contents is when you click on a certain line, it takes you directly there. So you don't have to scroll through the whole 217-page document. And so this is, it's very easy to get to. And we're going to have Jen take it away with girl adult ratio. Oh, I'm going to stop. Well, do you want me to stop sharing or just keep going down and we'll go to the girl adult ratio? Oh, okay, we'll stop sharing. Jen, you're muted. Jen, you're
Sorry, I was trying to not have background noise. Okay, so these supervision ratios were to ensure the safety of the girls at all times. If one adult has to respond to an emergency, there's always a second adult there to make for sure the girls have someone there with them. To know that both of the adults must be 18 and they have to be a member and a background screened member. So there's no exceptions to that rule. You can't have a child or even your 16-year-old be that extra person. Also, the thing that you want to think about too is the ages of your girls, what kind of activity that you have going on, if it's a high activity or a high adventure, depending on, your girls well enough to know if they need a little bit more help or if there's going to be a lot of activity that you need more people. So at all gatherings, so there's no exceptions to this rule. So that doesn't, it's meetings, it's, field trips, those kind of things. So as an example, if you have 17 daisies, you'll need 3 adults. At least 2 of them are unrelated, so you can't have your 2 adults be related. That's cousins, like a niece and an aunt, sisters, and one of those has to be female. As far as those overnight events or out of town events or trips, every time you add more girls, you have to add another adult, depending on that. So you need to look at those ratios. If you have out of town things or overnights, you have to think about how many people you can put in a motel room and how many adults you need per girl, per set of girls in rooms or in tents or different things. Those adult ratios are very important. You also need to think about when you have tag-alongs on trips. Sometimes a mom will be part of a girl ratio number, and maybe she has a 2 and a 4-year-old going along with her. As part of that girl ratio, she can't really be looking after a 2 and 4-year-old and be a part of a girl ratio and maybe a daisy troop. So you might need extra adults. That's where your adult support members come in. More is always better. If in doubt, always make sure you have more adults. Just use common sense. Do you have anything to add to that, Joe?
No, you said it great. And so this begins the thoughts of creating an emergency action plan. And so I am going to actually go back and share my screen. And so on page 8, and this is right almost after there's girl ratio information also on this girl adult, but on page 8, it starts to begin with the emergency action plan. And so I'm going to skip the identify the type of emergency, but down here below, it's going to tell you the key components of an emergency action plan. And so just being able to have a contact list of maybe places, if you're going to a location, or just knowing around your surroundings, like where things are. But then also having your contact list of your girls, your health history cards, your driver safety forms if you're having drivers drive girls. The health history cards really, I mean, if there's drivers driving other girls, the health history cards should be with those drivers while they're driving. And just determining roles and responsibilities. In the emergency action plan, maybe like this adult is in charge of 5 girls and you've got 4 other adults that are each in charge of 5 girls, depending on the size of your troop. The adults in charge of those girls really should be registered and background checked, just to follow suit with the girl adult ratios. An exit strategy. So, if you're staying in a cabin or in a hotel, just, having the girls kind kind of like do a little fire drill or a tornado drill, even depending on the, you know, time of year, just so that they kind of are familiar and kind of know where to go. And then a communication method. You know, most troops will have like a Facebook group or they'll have like a text chat, or other means of communication, you know, like a Google Docs group or a Google group. And so just having that communication method with parents also. And then there's quite a variety of things to think about, like activity preparation, itinerary, and key contacts. If there's any safety gear that you need. And so just having an emergency action plan for your activity. Not all activities have to have an emergency action plan. I mean, but for those ones that are really special, like going on a hayrack ride, or you know, leaving your meeting place to go on a field trip, though those are kind of special that you might have an emergency action plan. Any questions about the emergency action plan?
I have a question, Joanne. You talked about having the emergency action plan. Does it need to be documented or can it just be verbal?
You know, there's a lot of information here. It could be verbal, but I think the person in charge is going to want to write something out so that you have something documented. You could, after you create the document, you could share that in whatever parent group site that you have, just so that parents know kind of like what the emergency action plan is also. It might have the agenda on it, of where, you know, the trip agenda or so. It doesn't say you specifically have to have one, but you know, Girl Scouts were be prepared, so we're always prepared. So, I would definitely share it because I mean, it's just being transparent with the parents and having everybody know the same information is key. That's a good question. Any more? Okay, so then Jen, if you want, I'm just going to keep it on here for the next one. Jen's going to cover activities that are not permitted.
Okay, GSUSA has said there are things that are definitely not permitted. So you cannot take your troops bungee jumping. They cannot fly in private airplanes, helicopters, or blimps. So basically that list, you can kind of see the only one on there kind of in our area, you know, that is one that's probably is surprising. If you have a troop meeting or an activity that's happening at someone's house and they have an outdoor trampoline, the girls absolutely positively cannot be on that trampoline. Now, that doesn't mean they can't go to a trampoline park, like an indoor park. That's something different. This would be something at someone's private home, like a private trampoline. But everything else to zorbing, stunt skiing, riding ATVs, that's a whole nother thing as far as private things, paintballing, hunting, all of those things. You guys can read, so I don't need to go through all of those. But as far as those safety checkpoints, if you plug in or you look on that list and see if there's something that you want to do, it will tell you how you can do it or if you can't. So Joe, you have the floor for all of the forms.
Okay.
Oh, go-karting.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's in there.
So go-karting is in there. We've had this discussion in troop support. I know it's come up several times. We've kind of had this discussion. We've decided as a group that if you go to a reputable business, most of those places have the insurance. They do all of the licensing, the insuring on all of their go-karts. Kind of put that into your common sense judgment. I mean, if you're going someplace that's been around for 25 years, they're reputable, you know, they cover the insurance, they have those things, you're probably going to be fine. I know in Omaha, they have Papio Fun Park. In North Platte, we have Cody Go-Karts. It's one of those things, talk to your troop support person, talk it out, see what you want to do.
And so you won't see go-karting on the activities not permitted because it actually is in the, it is in one of the 100 or so activities that are listed way below. And we'll skim by that later on. Good question though, very good question. You'll see on these activities not permitted, you'll see there's a little paragraph about each one on, and it just gives more information on kind of like maybe like why it's not permitted or how it can be permitted or whatever. So those are always nice to, you know, just read through on your free time when you're waiting in the checkout lane or waiting for children to get out of school or something like that. Okay, so you know, there's like some first aid information there. We're eventually going to get to transporting girls on page 21. And so in this section, it just has a plan for safe driving. And so just making sure that for whatever field trip that you're taking the girls on, the girls will be transported in private vehicles or arranged qualified drivers. Just making sure that every driver is a registered background checked member, at least 21 years old. So they cannot be 19 or 20, they have to be 21. And a valid driver's license, and the vehicle has to be insured. And so that's one of the or those are the key points to the driver's safety form that we have in the forms section, is that they're a registered member, they have a valid driver's license, and the car has insurance. Girl Scout youth members never drive other members to or from activities, so it has to be an adult that's transporting girls. And if a group is traveling in one vehicle, there has to be 2 unrelated adults in the vehicle. And another thing about that is the last bullet we'll talk about. If a group is traveling in more than one vehicle, the entire group must consist of at least 2 unrelated registered. So you could have one person driving a vehicle with 4 girls in it, and then behind them or close by when they're driving together, another adult with 4 more girls. So it gives information on a plan for safe driving. It also talks about borrowing or renting vehicles. And so sometimes you might need like a van to rent. And so it does talk about borrowing or renting. The council does have a partnership with Enterprise. And so with Enterprise, you can get a discounted rate for vehicles. And it does give information about taxis or ride sharing services, especially if you're going to like another city like Washington, D.C. or out of state in general. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to plug in, sorry. It does also talk about vans designed for 15 passengers. And so this is really key also, that volunteers are not encouraged. It doesn't say you can't, but it's not encouraged to operate a 15 passenger van, just because those are a little bit more unsafe. And so it does give you some specifications on how to get approval for that. And I'm going to turn it back over to Jen for how to use checkpoints. And I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment.
Okay, so just to recap on those, how to use those checkpoints. So as a troop, you would decide, I think we lost Jen. I'm going to try and get her back. I don't know what happened. Jen, are you back? I'm back. I lost you for a second. I don't know what happened. Everything flickered around me. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, that was crazy. Okay, so as a troop, you would decide on what activities you were going to do, either, for the year or just certain activities. So what you do is you look them up on the activity checkpoint safety sheet. First, you'd see if it's an allowed activity, if there's any special requirements that you would need, if there's an age specification, like if you have a daisy troop, some activities aren't allowed for daisies. Then you'd look to see if you had an adult, what your adult to girl ratio numbers would be. You would figure out your emergency plan. You would figure out your travel and your transportation plan, what adult member support, parents, things you would need, and then you would fill out all your proper forms that you get to your troop support person. Your troop request form, if it's a trip, an insurance form for non-members, if you had some non-members. But really what we ask is, when in doubt, contact your troop support specialist. We'll help you fill out those forms. We'll help you find those forms. We'll make for sure that the activity that you're doing is okay with those safety activity checkpoints, and we'll make for sure that everything is all good, you're safe, and you're ready to go. That's all I had on that. Joanne, you're muted now.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go back to sharing the screen. And we're actually going to go back up to the table of contents because that will get us there faster. So you can see down below, there is that page on how to use safety activity checkpoints. And so it is a very great page to take a look at. And there's a button that you can click on that. Well, here, we'll just go there. Oh. So it's going to show you just a general who all these activities girls can participate in and what levels they can, just as a cheat sheet. But I wish I would have scrolled here first. Okay, so how to use safety checkpoints, what Jen was talking about. There's even an introduction to the safety guidelines that you can click on and learn a little bit more as well. But it's going to start with A and it's alphabetical, but we're just going to go back up to the so we're going to feature two tonight. We're going to feature camping and hayrake rides because those are most likely going to be coming up soon, where troops are going to be participating with those. And so, just to give you an idea, I did click on camping and it took me to bicycling, but okay. But if you see, it's going to tell you if there's council approval required, which for camping and trips that you're going to take longer than 2 days, that's the troop trip request form that you'll fill out. However, if you're camping at a Girl Scout site, you do not have to fill out a troop trip request form because you're already doing paperwork for the council with that. If you're going camping to Mahoney State Park or another state-owned property or a private property, then you'll have to fill out a troop trip request form. It'll tell you who the activity is permitted for. So camping is permitted for all levels. And then it will also say if there's any requirements. And so at least for camping, at least one adult must be trained in camping. And that's the Camp Out Basic that we offer through the council in the spring and in the fall. It also will give you a variety of things. So our SafetyWise is still affiliated with the COVID virus. And so we give some safety things about each safety checkpoint. And then it'll give a variety of other topics like your reminders about your emergency action plan and checkpoints and things to think about when camping, as well as like sleeping arrangements. So when camping and you have a dad or another male with you, they have to actually sleep in another room with their own bathroom. And so they have separate sleeping quarters and a separate bathroom for the males that are coming on the trip. Does anyone have any? It does, for camping. So it'll also, this is kind of cool too. It'll talk about safety gear and then kind of like what to bring. So it does give a little bit of information about that. Any question on camping? Okay, so we will move down to hayrack rides because that definitely is popular and that will be coming up soon. So we're going to scroll down to page 99. And so with hayrack rides, again, the activity is permitted for all levels. There is council approval. So for hayrack rides, you would want to do a troop trip request form. And in the hayrack ride safety activity checkpoint, it just gives you a little information about hay rides, including Girl Scout members with disabilities, having an emergency action plan. So every one of these safety activity checkpoints will have an emergency action plan little section in there. And then also hayride checkpoints. So these are just some points like do not ride in the tractor, don't have any girls ride in the tractor, making sure that the hauled vehicle is in good working order, that it meets all state and local safety requirements. It's showing proper identification, protective sides and rear fencing or gates. And then just making sure to evaluate the driver before, you get on, and just making sure that everything is all legit. And and then, just really just have fun. So there's only 2 pages to hayrack rides, and then it goes into hiking. So that's the next H word that's next. So those were the 2 that we highlighted, but you'll see back up in the table of contents that there are many things. So like things like amusement parks, if you're going over the summer to Adventureland or Worlds of Fun, there's an amusement park section. There's also backpacking. So if you're taking the girls on a day trip and they're going backpacking, there's a backpacking safety checkpoint section.
Parades.
And parades, yes. There's one on parades as well. So any questions so far about the safety activity checkpoints?
No questions?
I will, I'm going to, oh, go ahead.
The hayrack rides, I'm sure I can read everything. but you can take girls on hayrack rides. Does it have to be, could it just be a farmer giving hayrack rides? Because, like, we don't have any pumpkin patches where I'm from. We don't have, like, businesses or whatever that, like, I don't know, in Omaha they have Vallis Pumpkin Patch. We don't have any of that.
I believe, okay, Amanda, I believe that you can arrange with a private farmer to do that.
I would say as long as the person that you are using for your hayrack ride has insurance to be doing that, that's fine.
Right.
If they don't, I would stay away from that. I know that not all areas have pumpkin patches, but safety is of the utmost importance. So if they have insurance, then we're cool.
And then remember, back in the hayride checkpoints, it does say that the vehicle must meet all state and local safety requirements, as well as what Amanda just said about insurance. So.
Any other
Okay, so-
questions?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. One that I used to get a lot was on swimming at hotels. And having to have a lifeguard to swim at a hotel. And the answer is yes, you have to have a lifeguard no matter where you're swimming.
And so there is a swimming section that has quite a bit of information. Oh, not surfing. Quite a bit of information that talks about lifeguards and swimming checkpoints and pools and lakes and rivers and streams and all of that. So there's a whole section on swimming. And then even it'll give a swimming test also on what they should do for that. So. Okay, great comment. I just wanted to feature on the council website again, on that same site as volunteer resources, on that same line, that's where you'll also find all of our council forms. So when you click on the forms under troop co-leader and service unit, you're going to want to always have one of these in your first aid kit, but that's the accident incident report form. And what this form does is it just, and you should have one of these, or maybe even 2 or 3 in your first aid kit, just to already have those on hand should anything happen while you're on your field trip or trip. And it's just things that you're going to want to fill out when the accident happens. The troop trip form, you're like, well, where's the troop trip form? I don't see it here. It's under program and travel, as well as the health history form. So the health history activity permission form that the girls completed that the parents completed at the beginning of the year, you can find that also here. It's a 1-page document. But you'll also see the troop trip request also below program and travel. The troop trip request is actually a multi-page document that does give quite a bit of information. And so it's going to help you plan your trip also, again, with ratios, health histories, training requirements. It even gives a great color section of volunteer to girl ratio, transportation, insurance, and then the form is right after that. So it's going to have you give, and this is for any troop trips, it'll have you give a itinerary, and then at the very end, well, anybody that has special training, it'll have you give a roster of who's going on the trip, but then it will give you the insurance options. So for non-members, there's a plan 2, and that is 11 cents per person per day. And then when you have trips more than 2 nights and 3 days. So say for example, your trip is planning a Washington DC trip, and you're going for 5 days. You're gonna look at plans 3E and 3P, and so those are 29 cents or 70 cents per person per day. What that just entails is that the 29 cents per person per day is accident and sickness insurance. And so what the person's primary insurance doesn't cover, the council will cover after the primary insurance from the person. The 70 cents per person per day is where the council will be paying for like anything that happens with that. So it's a little confusing. I'm so sorry. Any questions on insurance? The non-member insurance, those include like tag-alongs and any adults that are not currently registered. Ideally, any adult that's going on a trip, you really do want them to be registered members and to have a background check. And so we always encourage, especially at the beginning of the year, to register a parent along with the girl, to have it be a partnership, because that just makes the trip more successful. Okay, I'm off my little bandwagon.
No.
Okay,
Great advice, Joe.
I think we're good with the forms, and so do we have any questions? And I'm going to stop sharing.
Where did you find those forms, or where were they before?
Oh, okay. So back at the council website. Oh, not that one. Back at the council website at the top, where you see volunteer resources on that upper right-hand side, if you scroll over or move over this way, you'll see forms right there. So it'll say alum blog, contact us forms. On your phone, it probably is the 3 lines. If you're on a phone, when you go to the council website, there's 3 lines, and you can click on that and it'll bring a drop-down box that will list all of those as well. Okay, super cool.
Another form on there, if you haven't done it, is your financial form for the end of the year. So
right
if you
there.
if you haven't submitted that form, your troop support person would love for you to do that, and so would finance if you have not done that yet for the last year before we start another year. All right. Does anybody
Okay.
have any questions about anything we've gone over? As always, you can always ask your troop support person, or, if you can't get a hold of one of us, you can always call member support and someone there can help you with that also. Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
All right. Well, in closing tonight, I want to talk about a little bit about Volunteer Retreat Weekend. So that is coming up in the Southwest in my area, out at Lakeview Cabin in North Platte. That is one of our camps at Lakeview. It is September 15th through the 17th. It's $25. If you can't come for the whole weekend, just come for the day. There's all sorts of things to do. We're going to horseback ride, but there's all sorts of sessions that you can do. There's a conflict management. There's going to be a craft corner, VTK training, connecting with your girls, mental health in your girls, some team building, some outdoor cooking, lots of stuff. So travel if you want. If you're in the area, please sign up. It's going to be a good time. So sign up for that.
And then, as always, if you have any questions, really any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to your troop support specialist. They can answer anything or even direct you where you can find things. A lot of times I will just click on the link and send the link in an email so that you don't have to look for it. You can just click on the link and it's right there.
Okay. So
I
for
should
the
ask,
person-
but before we start, I should ask Amanda, do we have a list of all the people that are on the call?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thankfully,
Just
Teams
wanted
keeps
to
that
check
for
that.
us. Yes.
Okay. Sorry,
All
Jen,
right.
go ahead.
No, that's okay. So our question, so be ready to unmute to answer, because the first person that answers correctly will be our winner for the night. So what is the age requirement to go hayrack riding?
Daisy.
Hey, all of them, everyone can go.
Everyone can go. That's the answer. Everyone.
Oh,
Okay,
was
who was that for the prize?
Becky.
Okay, Becky, I'll email you tomorrow with how to collect your prize.
Thank you.
Okay, so for everyone else, Joe.
okay. So for everyone else who has stayed on the call, yay! We are going to have for you a special incentive that is a buy one get one free programs on demand for up to 5 programs on demand. So for if you purchase 5 programs on demand, you'll get 5 free. Amanda, is that correct? I said
That
it
is
right?
correct. And I will
Okay.
email everyone that's on the call today tomorrow, and I will again direct you on how to claim your BOGO for programs on demand.
Awesome.
Okay.
Those things are wonderful.
Yes, they are.
Would it help everyone when Amanda sends the follow-up email out? Would it help if we gave some links like on like the safety activity checkpoints link? Would that
Yes.
help everyone?
I was definitely planning on including safety activity checkpoints, ratios, links to our forms, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Share
Did you
these
want me
town
to-
halls with your co-leaders. Make sure you tell people about them. Tell them they should get on. We have lots of information coming, so Joe's gonna tell what's next.
Okay, so our next town hall is in September. I don't have the date in front of me, but it's the first Thursday. And so our next town hall meeting is going to focus on Girl Scout meetings and the volunteer toolkit.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for coming tonight. Thanks for participating, and hope you have a great night and great back to school in the coming weeks. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank
bye,
you,
everybody.
Jen and Joe.
Ty, hang on. Oh, no, she left. Okay, I'm gonna have to call her. Okay, everyone have a great night.